Are you tired of your inkjet printer printing out black ink that leaves smudges and smears on your project? Well, in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you some tips that I use to stop the smear and smudges and have beautiful printing results. Stay tuned. Well, hello my beautiful and amazing crafters. Welcome to another video of Crafting with Shaneda. In today's video, I'm going to show you a few tips that I use to get my inkjet printer to print out black ink without smudges or smears. So I have the HP NV6000 and it's a color printer. And I noticed when I would print out designs on glossy paper, no matter what setting I was using at the time, I would always get the smudges and the ink on my hand, and I was not happy with that aspect of my printer. So at first I thought it was just my printer. I didn't really think it was the glossy paper or the settings that I used, but I had a project that I needed to get out and I needed to resolve this issue so I could provide best quality to my client. With all my other projects, when I used this HP all-in-one printer, I was always satisfied, but I needed to figure out why with glossy paper I was having this issue. So I gave it another try. I'm using this brand of glossy paper. Everything that I use will be listed in the description box below. So I went ahead and started by printing out a few of the chip bag labels because I'm going to figure out why this is happening and how to keep this from happening in the future. So before discovering this tip, I always stayed away from printing black ink projects that didn't need lamination. If I did have a project, I would usually use lamination to just avoid having the ink from smearing or smudging on glossy paper. But what I realized was that it was not my printer or the ink or even the glossy paper. It was the settings I was using. I understood using the correct printer settings for the project that I was working on would make a huge difference on how the project worked, but I really thought that all glossy settings would work the same. Well, I found out that is not the case. So before setting your project to print, you want to make sure to hit your print setting dialog so that way you have all the features available for your printer. So when I first hit my print screen, I have the option to change the quality and increase my DPI. For this project, I'm just going to keep it at 600 DPI. I won't be printing on both sides, so I'll just leave that option unchecked. And now I'm going to go to the print system dialog for more additional features that my printer has. Now once the display box opens up, I would leave the borderless off, and then I would go down to paper type and I would choose other glossy paper. That was my normal go-to when printing on glossy paper. But with doing some research, I realized that I needed to choose either the HP Glossy Presentation or HP Photo when printing out on glossy paper. I didn't know that would make a huge difference on how the ink is absorbed on the glossy paper. And then I continued down the drop downs and make sure to choose the best for my paper quality. And then I went through all the additional tabs to see if there's any other settings I needed to change. Under the Advanced tab, there was an HP Live Technology option. I didn't notice a difference when printing with or without that box checked, so majority of the time I left that box unchecked. So I was excited to see if these new setting changes would work. I chose HP Photo paper with the best settings and set my project again to print to see how it would turn out. I let it dry for about 10 minutes, which I didn't need to, but I was a little nervous at first, and I was so surprised on how this came out. No ink all over my hands and no smudging, and I was excited to finish the project and continue to print. So what I did, since I noticed that leaving it on normal settings left a little bit of a smudge, but best quality was the key and photo paper, I went back into my printer settings and created a default settings when I wanted to print out any chip bags or anything in the future with black ink on glossy paper. I would have these settings saved into my printer settings. So now that I have this saved under my printer settings, I was so excited to go ahead and finish out my project, and I also wanted to see if it worked on different type of glossy paper. So I picked up 2 different brands of glossy paper and I gave it a try to see, and yes, it works. So I am so happy to find out that it's not my printer, it wasn't the ink or the paper. It was all this time I thought all glossy settings was the same, but just changing up the settings made a game changer. I was able to get this order out, and hey, I'm waiting for more orders, so make sure to check out my Etsy shop. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned a little bit or a lot, and we will see you on the next video of crafting with Shaneda.